Hey everyone, so here are my thoughts and opinions here on the iPad 10 versus the new iPad Air with the M3 chip in it. But first, let's go over some specs. So the iPad 10 is 10.9 inches versus 11 on the new Air. But as you can see here, there's really not much of a difference between the two on screen size. The iPad Air has a better color reproduction, but that said, the 10 is still very, very good. You also get an anti-reflective coating on the Air. You do not get that on the 10. A big difference is going to be the chips that are in each of these. So with the 10, you get the A14 chip, whereas with the Air, you get the M3 chip, which means you get a 6-core CPU, 4-core GPU, versus 8-core CPU and a 9-core CPU. So definitely a better chip that is going to be in the Air, a lot more powerful chip. Then you also get the Apple Intelligence on the Air. You do not get that on the 10. You also would not get that on the new 11 either. You would have to get the Air M3 out of those three iPads to get Apple Intelligence. You get a bit of a better Wi-Fi chip in here as well. You can do Wi-Fi 6E versus just Wi-Fi 6 on the 10. As far as storage goes, with the 10, it starts out with 64 gigabytes of storage versus the Air is starting out at 128. This can go up to 1 terabyte. This will only go up to 256. There are very slight differences in the actual dimensions of each of these tablets, which means cases for the iPad 10 will not fit the Air will not fit the iPad 10. We're again going to the iPad 11. The iPad 11 will fit in iPad 10 cases. Not the same case though, pun not intended, with the Air. You get only 4 gigabytes of RAM with the iPad 10, whereas with the M3 Air, you actually get 8 gigabytes of RAM. So you get double the RAM. Then Apple rates the battery life on both these at exactly the same. And of course, that depends on what you're doing, but they are rated at exactly the same battery life. Now, those are the main differences here. Now, what does that mean in actual use? For most people, I don't think you're going to notice too much of a difference unless you're doing some high-end stuff. It's like we're just going to Facebook here, and we'll see they are identical. Like these are basically identical to each other. Get off of that. Let's go on to like the Owl, Duolingo. I mean, you're talking about maybe a second difference in loading in. We'll go into something harder here. So let's go into Genshin Impact, which is a pretty heavy game. And we'll see how each of these two do. So, of course, the Air should be faster with its way more powerful chip. So these will both load on in. So Air does load in a tiny bit faster into the title screen. Prepare to load data. And actually, this time, the 10 does come up with a tap to begin, just a tiny bit faster than the Air. The Air looks like it loads in faster, but really doesn't, I guess. I'll go in and log in. I'm not downloading 29 gigabytes of storage or of data onto my storage. So I don't know, my iPad 10 even has that much data left. Again, you can see the Air does load into the game itself a little bit faster. But when you're actually going to be playing it, messing around, they both are very, very good. There's no lag going on whatsoever. Next, we'll do a speaker test. So it's same video and same volume maxed out here. Both these do have stereo speakers. On both of these, only one on each side actually work. It has 4 speaker grills on both of them. Only one on each actually works. So let's go ahead and start here with the 10. And the Air. So I do feel like the Air is a tiny bit louder, but both of these are nice and loud with their stereo speakers, and they both sound really good. Again, I have no complaints on either of these two. So in my opinion, I would say if you already have an iPad 10, to me, it's not really worth upgrading to the Air. But now if you have an older iPad and you're looking for something that's really powerful, then yes, the Air might be worth it, or just buying an iPad 10 or even iPad 11 might be worth it as well and save a bit of money. This is quite a bit more expensive than the 10 or the 11, at least here in the US. But both of these are fantastic tablets. If you do want a more powerful tablet than the 10, you already have a 10, then yes, the M3 is a good step up. But I think it really, again, depends on what you're doing. If you're doing very heavy tasks, it might be worth it. If you're just doing everyday things like I just did here, personally, I don't think it's worth it. But you guys can let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good one. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.